Hello guys, you're welcome back. So today I'm going to be sharing with you how to draft, cut and sew this beautiful bustier dress with a gathered flare and a flare sleeve. It is very simple, detailed and beginner friendly. So if this looks like what you really wish to learn, please watch this video till the end. So here I'm going ahead to insert my vertical measurement. This top line you see here is my shoulder line, while this one here is my armhole depth line, which is 8 inch, and this line here is my shoulder to bust point, which is 10.75 inch, and here is my shoulder to under bust, which is 14.25, and this line here is my half length, which is 17.5. The next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to insert my neck width and my neck depth. For the neck width, I'll go ahead to mark a neck width of 4 inch, and for the neck depth, I'll insert a neck depth of 5.5 inch. After which I'll go ahead to draw a simple round neck and my shoulder slope. So you can also go ahead to insert your desired neck width and neck depth. Once I'm done taking out the neck measurement, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do is to tighten the under bust. And to do that, I'll go ahead to divide my bust part measurement into two, and I'll mark that on my bust point line and also on the half length line. After which I'll go ahead to connect the 2 points with a straight line like this. After connecting, next I'll go ahead to tighten the underbust by taking out a dart of 2.5 inch. So I'll go ahead to mark 1.25 inch on both sides of the underbust, and I'll repeat the same thing on both sides of the half length line. After doing that, I'll connect the point together with a straight line like this. Next, I'll go ahead to draw the underbust curve, and to do that, I'll be coming down from the bust point by 1 inch and mark. After marking that, I'll go ahead to connect that point to the underbust using the curved part of my ruler like you see me doing in the video. Next, I'll move over to the armhole to draw the armhole dart because I'm making an armhole dart princess bustier. And to do that, the first thing I'll go ahead to do is to locate the midpoint of the armhole depth line and mark. After doing that, I'm going to go ahead to come down by 1 inch for the dart, after which I'll connect both points to the bust point with a straight line like you see me doing in the video. So after connecting it, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do is to replace this 1 inch that I took upward like this and mark, because if you should leave it like this, you'll be having some shortage when joining your center panel to the side panel. So once I'm done extending it, I'm going to go ahead to blend the bust point area to eliminate any sharp edge I have at that point like this. Once I'm done doing all this, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to start inserting my body circumference measurement. So on the chest line, I'll insert my bust measurement divided by 4, and I'll go ahead to mark that. After marking that, I'll measure what I have on this dart area and replace it on the side also. Next, I'll move over to the waistline, and I'll also divide my waist measurement into 4, and I'll go ahead to mark that on the waistline also. After marking that, I'll measure what I have on this dart area and I'll replace that on the side also. Once I'm done doing that, the next I'm going to go ahead to do is to connect the side together with a straight line like this, after which I'll go ahead to mark my sewing allowance of 1.5 inch all the way down and also connect the sides together. Then I'll draw the armhole for the front block of the bustier we are making. Once I'm done doing all this, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to take out the bust dart. And the bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist for your front and that of the back. So in my case, I'm working with 1.5 inch. So I'll come down from the bust point and mark 1.5 inch, after which I'll connect it to my nipple to nipple line like you see me doing in the video. So this is what the bust dart is going to look like. So basically, I am done with the front block of the bustier. The next thing I'm going to go ahead to quickly do now is to draft the skirt part of the gown we are making. So the full length of the gown I'm working with is 44 inch, but because I'll be attaching a flare to the gown, I'm going to go ahead to minus 10 inch from the full gown length, because I want the length of the flare I'm going to be making to be 10 inch. So I'm going to be working with length 34 for the gown. So next thing I'm going to go ahead to quickly do now is to insert my gown measurement from my shoulder line. So I'm going to go ahead to insert the gown length of 34 because I've already gone ahead to minus the 10 inch for the flare. So if you want your flare to be longer than this, you can simply go ahead to insert your desired length for the flare you'll be attaching to the gown. After inserting the length of the gown, the next I'm going to go ahead to do now is to insert my hip depth line. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead to come down by 8.5 inch from the waistline. So for an average adult, the distance between the waist to the hip is between 8 to 10 inch. So you go ahead to take your own measurement. So if you don't want to follow this method, you can simply go ahead to take your measurement from your shoulder line to the highest point of your hip to get the hip depth line. So all you need to do is to take the measurement before you go ahead to insert it. After marking that, I'm going to go ahead to draw a straight horizontal line at the point I just marked like you see me doing in the video. Next, I'll insert my waist measurement on the waistline. So I'll go ahead to insert my waist measurement divided by 4, which is 7.75 on the waistline. I'll mark that. After marking that, I'm going to go ahead to add 1 inch for the waist dart because the skirt part is going to be having a dart. After marking the 1 inch, I'll insert 1.5 inch for the sewing allowance. Next, I'll move over to the hip depth line, and on this line, I'll insert my hip measurement divided by 4, and I'll go ahead to mark that. After marking that, I'll also go ahead to mark 1.5 inch for the sewing allowance. Once I'm done doing that, I'll connect the waist to the hip using the curved part of my ruler like this. So next I'll move over to the hem of the gown. So for the hem of the gown, what I'll go ahead to simply do is to measure what I have on the hip depth line, and I'll minus 1.5 inch from it because I want it to be penciled. So if you don't want yours to be too penciled at that point, you can go ahead to minus half inch or 1 inch depending on how fitted you want the dress to be on the knee point. But for me, I'm going to go ahead to minus 1.5 inch from whatever I have on the hip depth line. Also note that this is inclusive of your sewing allowance, so you'll not be adding any other sewing allowance at this point again because you already added that to your hip depth line. After doing that, I'll connect the hip depth line to the hem of the blouse like this. So basically we are done with the skirt part of the gown we are making. The next I'm going to go ahead to quickly do now is to draw the dart. And to insert the dart, what I'll go ahead to do is to locate the midpoint of the waist, after which I'll go ahead to mark 0.5 inch on both sides. So the length of the dart is going to be 4 inch for the front. After doing that, I'll go ahead to draw the dart like you see me doing in the video. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to cut it out. So I'll go ahead to cut the skirt part first, after which I'll close the bust dart on the upper bodice, and I'll also cut that part off. So after cutting, this is what the front block of the dress we are making is going to look like. The next I'm going to go ahead to do now is to move over to drafting of the back block. For the back block, the first thing I went ahead to do was to mark out my zipper allowance of 1.5 inch on the center back. After doing that, I went ahead to insert my shoulder line, my armhole depth line, and my shoulder to waist measurement. So my shoulder to waist measurement for the front is 17.5, right out of the back is 15 inch. So you need to take this measurement correctly so you don't have issues when joining the front block to the back block of your dress. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead to quickly do now is to draw the neck line for the back. So I'll go ahead to mark a neck width of 4 inch like I did for the front. Then the neck depth is going to be as desired. You can draw whatever neck depth you want at this point. After doing that, I'll go ahead to draw the neckline like this, after which I'll draw the shoulder slope for the back block of the dress. Next, I'm going to go ahead to insert my body circumference measurement on the chest line. So on the chest line, I'll insert my bust measurement divided by 4, and I'll go ahead to mark that. After marking that, I'll add 1.5 inch for the sewing allowance. Next, I'll move over to the waistline, and on the waistline, I'll insert my waist measurement divided by 4. Note that I'm taking all measurement from this zipper allowance line I have here. So after marking my waist measurement divided by 4, I'll mark 1 inch for that and 1.5 inch for the sewing allowance. Once I'm done doing that, I'm going to go ahead to connect the sides together with a straight line, after which I'll draw the armhole for the back. Next, I'm going to go ahead to insert the darts for the back, and to do that, I'll also go ahead to mark half of my bust band measurements on the waistline, after which I'll go ahead to extend my chest line and also insert half of my bust band measurement on the chest line also. After doing that, I'll connect the 2 points together with a straight line, after which I'll draw the darts like you see me doing in the video. This is what the back is going to look like. The next I'm going to go ahead to do now is to work on the center back, because if you should leave the center back straight like this, after making the dress, the zipper is going to bulge out. And to do that, I'll go ahead to extend the waistline to the end like this, after which I'll go in by 0.5 inch at this point and mark. Then on this other side, I'll also be going in by 0.5 inch, and I'll go ahead to mark that. After marking that, I'll connect the point to the chest line with my ruler like you see me doing in the video. After drafting, this is what the upper part of the back block of the gown is going to look like. The next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to draft the skirt part for the back. And to do that quickly, what I'll go ahead to quickly do is to place the skirt of the front block on the back like this. Then I'll go ahead to quickly trace it out. This is the easiest and fastest way to do this. So I'll just go ahead to mark the waistline, the hip depth line, and also the hemline, after which I'll trace it out like you see me doing in the video. After tracing, the next thing I'll go ahead to do now is to draw the dart for the back. And to do that, first I'll go ahead to extend the nipple to nipple line like this. After which I'll go ahead to insert the length of the dart, which is going to be 5 inch for the back block of the skirt. After doing that, I'll go ahead to draw the dart leg like you see me doing in the video. Once I'm done doing this, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to quickly do now is to also shape the back of the skirt. And to do that, I'll go ahead to come down by 5 inch from the waistline. Then I'll connect this point to the 5 inch with my ruler like you see me doing in the video. And I'll repeat the same thing for the other side also. So this is what the zipper allowance is going to look like. So when fixing your zipper, make sure you follow the shape you have at this point. So this is what the back block of the gown is going to look like. The next I'm going to go ahead to do now is to cut it out. So after cutting, this is what the back block is going to look like. Next, I'll go ahead to cut out my fabric with the pattern I drafted. After cutting my fabric and my lining, this is what I have once I was done doing that. I went ahead to mark my sewing allowance on this part you see me touching, including the shoulder line and the neckline. For the side, I added to this part you see me touching, but there is none on the side. And also for the back, I added my allowance on the neckline, on the shoulder line, and also on the waistline. So this is what we are going to be having on the upper bodies. The next I'm going to go ahead to quickly do now is to join the piece together. I've also gone ahead to pad the bustier area of the dress we are making, and this is what you should have once you're done padding it. Make sure your wording stop on the underbust area of the bustier. The next I'm going to go ahead to quickly do now is to join the center panel to the side. So I'll go ahead to place the side on the center like this, making sure the good face is facing each other. Then I'll stitch and I'll repeat the same thing for the other side and also for the lining piece. For the back, what I'll go ahead to quickly do for the back is to sew in the darts on my fabric and on my lining piece separately. But before doing that, what I love to do is to notch the center of the dart so that it will be easier for me to locate the point where the dart is when stitching it. After which, I'll go over to my sewing machine to sew the dart on the wrong face of my fabric and also repeat the same thing on the lining piece. Here I have the skirt part of the gown I'm making, and while cutting, I added 0.5 inch on the hem and also on the waistline. So what I'll go ahead to do for the skirt block is to knot the center of the dart like I did for the back block, and I'll repeat the same thing for this other side also. After which, I'll go over to my sewing machine to sew in the dart separately on my lining piece and also on my main fabric. So I'll go ahead to quickly do all this, after which I'll come back to show you what to do next. So after I was done joining my center panel to the side, this is what the bustier looks like. And I went ahead to open up the seam and give it a good press. So here I have the lining piece. The next I'm going to go ahead to do is to join my lining piece to my main fabric. So I'll place it like this, making sure the good face are facing each other. Then I'll go over to my sewing machine to finish up the neckline and also close up the side. And for the back, I'll also be repeating the same thing for the back block. What I'll go ahead to do for the back is to go over to my sewing machine to finish up the neckline, the zipper allowance, and also for the side, after which I'll turn it over to the good face and give it a good press. Here I have the skirt part of the gown. What I'll go ahead to do for the skirt part is to close up the sides of the skirt part. You'll be leaving the waistline and the hemline open. After attaching my lining, this is what it looks like. As you can see, it came out neat and very nice. The next I'm going to go ahead to quickly do now is to trim the armhole area. To do that effectively, you can simply go ahead to locate the midpoint of the armhole, go in by 0.5 inch and trim it out. But I'm used to cutting it this way, so I'll just go ahead to fold the bustier into two like this, making sure that the side and the shoulder are aligning. After which, I'll go ahead to trim the armhole like you see me doing in the video. So I'm doing this for just the front block of the gown I'm making. Once I'm done trimming the armhole, this is what you're going to be having once you're done trimming. The next I'm going to go ahead to quickly do now is to join the skirt part of the gown to the upper body. So you go ahead to place it like this and you join the two of them together. And I'll be repeating the same thing for the back also. I will join the skirt part of the back to the upper part of the back also. Once I'm done doing all this, the next I'm going to go ahead to do is to join my front block and the back block together. I will join them at the shoulder and also at the side. But before doing that, I'll close up the center back. Then I will join the front and the back block together. So for the joining of the front and the back block, you'll not be joining both sides. You'll be joining just one side of the gown and you'll be leaving the other side open because you'll be attaching the flame to one part of the side of the gown. So I'll go ahead to quickly do all this, then I'll come back to show you what it looks like. After I was done joining the front and the back together, this is what I have. As you can see, this part of the gown is closed while this other side is open because I'll be attaching the flay to it first before I close up that part. And I'm going ahead to close up the back also, and this is what it looks like. And this upper part, I'll be fixing my zipper to the part. This I'm going to go ahead to do now is to attach the flay to the dress, and I'll be attaching it from the side to the hem back to the back of the dress. And for the strip I'll be using for the gathers, I've gone ahead to cut out this long piece of fabric that I'm going to be using for the gathers. And the width of the piece of fabric is 10" plus 1.5" sewing allowance. I'll be using 1" to hem the lower part, which I've already gone ahead to do. The remaining 0.5" will be used to attach the pleat to the gown itself. So this part is not hemmed. So this is what the strip is going to look like. So to know the amount of strip you're going to be cutting, we will need to take our measurement on the dress. So before I go ahead to take my measurement on the dress, on this side that is open, I'll go ahead to mark out my sewing allowance of 1.25. So I'll mark it all the way to the hem like you see me doing in the video. So after marking, this is what you're going to be having. And also when you get to this part while fixing your strip, you go ahead to curve this lower part like this, as you can see me doing in the video. So this curve is very important so you don't have issues with the side when joining the front and the back block together. The next thing you want to do now is to take your measurement from your waist down to the back of the dress like you see me doing in the video. After taking the measurement, what I got was 56". So I'm going to go ahead to add at least extra 6" to it because I'm going to be pleating the strip down to the front of the gown again. So when cutting it, you're going to go ahead to cut times 3 of whatever you measured on your dress for the gathers. So now this is my strip and I cut out times 3 of the measurement I took on the dress. The next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to attach it to the gown. So you can decide to pleat it or you can also decide to gather it, but I prefer pleating because pleating is always easier for me. So I'm going to go ahead to start from the waist. You place your fabric like this, making sure the good face is facing your gown. Then you go ahead to start pleating. You're going to go ahead to keep pleating all the way to the back of the gown. So once you get to the back of the gown, before you reach where your sewing allowance is going to be, you're going to stop. Then you go ahead to close up the side, after which you complete the pleat. So like I said earlier, you're going to go ahead to start pleating for the waist. So I'll go ahead to start pleating all the way down to the back of the gown like you see me doing in the video. So once you get to the part that is the open part on the side, you're going to go ahead to mark out your sewing allowance of 1.25. So I'm going to go ahead to mark that. So I'm going to go ahead to continue pleating to the point I just marked like you see me doing in the video. Once you're done doing that, the next you're going to go ahead to quickly do is to turn your fabric over to the wrong face like you see me doing in the video. Once you're done turning it over to the wrong face, the next thing to do is to stitch the open part you have on your gown. I'm going to go ahead to place this on my sewing machine now, and I'm going to go ahead to stitch from the waist down to the hem of the gown like you see me doing in the video. So when stitching, make sure you place the gathers on the inside of the gown like you see me doing, so you don't stitch on the gathers. Then you go ahead to stitch from the upper part down to the hem of the gown. So once you're done stitching it, the next you're going to go ahead to do is to keep pleating the remaining part of the gathers. So you're going to pleat from the part where you stop down to the front of the gown so that one part of the flay is not looking longer than the other. So I'm going to go ahead to pleat until I'm done with the strip I have. So I'll pleat from the back down to the front again, like you see me doing in the video. After I was done attaching the plates to the dress, this is what it is going to look like. As you can see, the dress is already looking beautiful and it came out really nice. And this is what this part is going to look like. So you need to pleat it all the way to the front so that the side is not looking shorter than the other part of the dress. So basically, this is what your dress is going to look like. The next I'm going to go ahead to do now is to attach the sleeve to the dress. So the dress I'm trying to illustrate has a basic sleeve on one hand while the other sleeve is a flare sleeve. So I'll just go ahead to quickly illustrate the flare sleeve. So for the flare sleeve, the first thing I'll go ahead to do is to measure the armhole of the dress like you see me doing in the video. So after I was done taking the measurement, what I got was 20 inch. So I'm going to go ahead to use this 20 inch to cut out the flare sleeve for the dress I'm making. So here I have the fabric I'll be using for the flare sleeve, and I've also gone ahead to cut out the basic sleeve. So it's a basic 3/4 sleeve. I'll not be illustrating that. I'll just be illustrating the flare sleeve. So before I go ahead to cut out the flare sleeve, we'll be doing some calculations because I'm going to be cutting a half circle. And because it's a half circle, what I'll go ahead to do is to divide the armhole by 3.14. After doing that, what I got was 6.3. So this 6.3 is going to be the radius for the sleeve. Then the length of the sleeve I'm working with is 10 inch. I'll add that plus 1 inch sewing allowance. So when you add this up, you're going to be having 17.3. The amount of fabric I'm going to be folding is going to be 17.3. So the next I'm going to go ahead to do now is to start folding my fabric. So here I have my fabric, and when I was cutting the fabric, what I had here was 17.3 inch, and what I have on this other side is also 17.3 inch. And when cutting, take note that you are cutting on fold. So after folding it once, you're going to go ahead to fold it over again to achieve this triangular shape as you can see me doing in the video. So I'll go ahead to quickly repeat this. The first thing to do is to measure 17 inch on both sides on fold like this. Then you go ahead to place your hand on this part that is folded and this part that is open, after which you fold it over like this to achieve a triangular shape as you can see on the screen. So once you're done doing that, the next thing you're going to go ahead to do now is to take your measurement. To take the measurement, I'm going to go ahead to place my tape rule at the tip like this. Then I'll measure this 17.3 all the way around like you see me doing in the video. So once you're done taking out the 17.3 inch measurement, the next thing to do is to measure the 6.3 inch radius we also calculated. So you place the tape rule at the top again and take out the 6.3 inch all the way around like you see me doing in the video. So once I'm done doing that, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to cut it out. So after cutting, this is what you're going to be having. As you can see, we are having a half circle. So if you want the sleeve to be full, I can go ahead to cut out a full circle. So I'm going to go ahead to finish the edge of the flare with my bias, after which I'll close up the side, then I'll attach it to the gown. I'll also go ahead to finish up this other sleeve also, after which I'll come back to show you the final look. After I was done attaching the sleeve to the dress, this is what it looks like. As you can see, it came out really beautiful and very nice. You can also go ahead to try yours and let me know about the outcome in the comment section. You can also watch other digital tutorial on the channel. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next tutorial.